So yeah, that was The Commitments.
That was The Commitments, Try a Little Tenderness. So this film came out in 1991. It was based on the novel by Roddy Doyle. The novel came out in the late 80s.
Okay.
And it was hard to know which song to pick because all the songs were really, really good. It was between this and Mustang Sally. And I came really, really close to choosing Mustang Sally because that's kind of the main sort of song from the film. It's the song that kind of gets them going. It's the song that they sort of like bond over and they start rehearsing over early on.
I do like this choice.
Yeah, I chose this because, I chose this because I felt that this kind of had like a bit of a journey to it. You know, it kind of like starts off slow and then it's got that build and you really sort of get a sense of just them as a band, like, you know, the different sort of, you know, like just the way they kind of feed off each other and the way it kind of like just builds to that crescendo at the end.
Because basically the plot of the movie, because I haven't seen it, and this was big when I was a teen in England, but for some reason it just went off my radar. But from what I understand the plot, it's an Irish group that wants to play soul and R&B.
Yeah, so I mean, you got this guy, Jimmy Rabbit, played by Robert Arkins, and he's basically like this music fanatic, and he's got a couple of friends who are like who trust his taste in music that are trying to help them to form a band, but they don't quite know. They don't really have any direction. They don't really know what to do. And so he's the one who decides like, okay, we're going to be playing soul. We're going to be playing Dublin soul, and he goes about sort of just handpicking this ragtag group of people to just form this Dublin soul band. And so it's when he chooses this guy, Johnny Murphy's the actor, he's the trumpet player, so he's the oldest guy, he's the veteran, and he's called Joey the Lips Fagan. And he's the guy who comes up with the name, The Commitments for the band.
Nice.
But it's just, it's not just, it's directed by Alan Parker, who must have one of the most eclectic filmographies of any director. You know, he directed Fame, he directed Angel Heart, he directed...
One of my favorites.
Angel Heart's amazing. Okay, but it's like a really eclectic, like he's direct. Okay, The Commitments, Fame, Angel Heart, The Road to Wellville,
That's right, he did that too.
Pink Floyd The Wall. Like a really...
Yes, he did do Pink Floyd The Wall.
Yeah, Pink Floyd The Wall, Midnight Express, Mississippi Burning. Like some really just...
Very eclectic.
But all of them like really, really solid films. The Road to Wellville, I think, is fucking hilarious. It's, kind of like this fictionalized comical take on Dr. John Kellogg, the guy who came up with Kellogg's cornflakes. And it's Anthony Hopkins, Matthew Broderick, Bridget Fonda, Dana Carvey, and John Cusack. Really, really, it's the movie that to this day I still, like, if I've had too much to drink, I'll scream out like, "Where is this man's luncheon?" Just randomly. No one knows what I'm talking about, but I do it. Because I commit to the bit.
Nice.
And so this movie is not, aside from having like a really great soundtrack, it's also really funny. It's really funny because they're all like sort of like these working class Dubliners. And when I saw it, it just brought back, at this point I had never been to Dublin. I eventually did go, but I hadn't been back to the UK in a really, really long time. So when I saw this film, it just kind of brought back a lot of memories of my childhood in the UK. Because like my nan and my granddad's background was kind of similar in the sense they were both like, it was very working class. So the people that you surround yourself with are all very salt of the earth kind of people. No one really censors themselves in front of children. It's like, fuck off! Fuck off, you Egypt! You know what I mean? It's like, and one of the opening sequences of this film is like, it's a wedding. It's a wedding, and like the Jimmy the Rabbit character is there, and there are these kids who are playing around, and there's this old guy who's like passed out asleep, and these kids like trip over his foot, and they're like kids like 5, 6 years old. They trip over his foot and wake him up, and the first thing he looks at them and he goes, "Fuck off!" And that just cracked me up because it just kind of reminded me so much. Not that my grandparents like swore at me a lot, but there was it was a different time. Yes. People didn't really censor themselves the way that they do now. Like God forbid you swear in front of a child now. But yeah, the cast were all like mostly unknowns. They were chosen because they had musical backgrounds and everything, and most of them have gone on to have like really interesting careers. The lead singer Andrew Strong has gone on to have like a solo career.
Nice.
and he and the drummer like were always like sort of like fucking fighting because like his character Deco, the lead singer, he's a fucking asshole. Like he's a total asshole, you know. And one of the guys like, you know, it's like and he's a bus conductor. So when he finds him, he's a bus conductor. It's like Deco, the bus conductor. Is that top Deco or bum Deco? You know. It's like you keep, you know, like, you know, and like, so he drops the drum cymbals during a performance, and like Andrew Strong's character Deco's like, you know, fucking idiot. It's like, and you, George Michael, if you ever call me a fucking idiot again, I'm gonna stick this up your hole, the one you don't sing out of. And it's like, that'll be the day. I'm telling you, it's coming. So keep your Vaseline handy. It's that kind of, like,
nice.
It's a hard R. It's a hard R.
But at the same time, like in England, I remember it was rated 15 or 13?
15. No way this movie was rated 13.
It wasn't rated 18 though.
No, yeah. I mean, there's no sex, there's no nudity, but it's like it's very like the language is a very hard R language film. The guy who plays like the lead guitar, Outspan, he's played by Glenn Hansard. Glenn Hansard is the front man for the Frames.
Okay.
And he's also one of the duos behind the musical film Once, which is also another great film if you haven't seen it. Great soundtrack as well. And Maria Doyle, who plays one of the backup dancers, like she's gone on to have an amazing singing and film career. So they've all kind of like gone on to some really interesting stuff. I think it was for the 20th anniversary, most of the cast got together and they did a tour.
Nice.
They did a tour, 20th anniversary tour. They toured like Ireland, and they finished off at the O2 in London.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I've seen like a couple of clips from it. They still sound fucking amazing.
Awesome.
Like as you saw from that clip, like Andrew Strong he's got some questionable dance moves, but he still sounds amazing. Still sounds amazing. Yeah.
No, that was because okay. So like during that period when this movie came out, right? Even though like, I was getting into film,
Yeah.
at the time, for some reason, I had an aversion to working class movies of British working class movies.
Why?
I don't know. At around like, so for example, it took me a while before I even watched Full Monty.
Right.
You know?
Huh. And specifically because they were like working class movies.
No, it's okay. It was a specific like.
Did they seem too kitchen sink? Like, yeah.
I think it was this worry that I'm gonna be watching like fucking.
Like Boys from the Black Stuff kind of shit.
Or what, like Albert Finney movies from like the 60s, 70s,
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like real kitchen sink kind of thing. So
It didn't occur to you that these movies could be funny?
no, it didn't.
Like every time you
At the
saw that
time,
kind of thing, you thought it'd be like something really dramatic or...
for some reason. So for example, like Trainspotting, I have no issue with. Like
Right.
I was excited about Trainspotting.
But Trainspotting from the beginning, you kind of know it's about heroin, it's about
Yeah.
drugs, and also the soundtrack as well.
True.
The way like the trailers were and everything.
But it's it's like below. It's kind of like below working class. Like
Right.
movies that were about
Just regular...
the regular dude. You know, like not even working in an office, like not even walking in.
That's fascinating.
It is like just during that period, and then sometime around 16, obviously I got over it.
Right.
But yeah, as I was getting into film, just that was the one. It's like it was like an automatic. If I see the cover, like fuck that, just would not be interested.
That's fascinating.
Right? But like as I got older, like I kept meaning to get into watch The Commitments, but then never got around to it, and then no one talked about it for ages around my circle, so I never got around to it. So I'm kind of glad you brought it because I do want to check that movie out because like it's obvious.
No,
like,
it's a great film.
Just looking at it, like, oh, these are actual musicians.
Yeah.
These
no.
are actual singers.
Yeah.
You
And like
know?
I said, it's not just like a film about a band. Like it could qualify as a comedy.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking hilarious.
Exactly.
You know, I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Like if you haven't seen it as well, I highly recommend it. It's a really, really good film.
And also for you youngins, you may recognize the song because this is the track. Because I mean, they all play covers, right? In the movie, they don't come up with any originals at any point.
And all the covers are great. Like Take Me to the River, Mustang Sally. There's a song, Dark End of the Street. Great fucking song.
Like it's Hitsville, USA.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, this song is what Kanye and Jay-Z sampled for the song Otis.
No.
Yeah, the original, not this recording, the original recording.
Yep.
So yeah, if certain bits of it sound familiar, that is where the sample came from. You know, and it's still like, even with someone else singing, it's still a brilliant song. It's a wonderful song. You know, and they do a great version of it.
Yeah, no, it's
know?
really, really good. Yeah.
So yeah.
So what have you got?
I brought an instrumental.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's about time. About time someone did an instrumental.
But I brought a shortened one. I'll explain why in a bit. But this is Audrey's Dance from the Twin Peaks soundtrack.
Great.
Yeah.